Hey everyone, What If Fan here. This is the first part of the new series What If template system in Fairy Tale World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 131, The Strongest Jujutsu Sorcerer. As Takashi clicked the confirm button, his heart tightened. On the system screen, the incredibly vast blue sky and white clouds suddenly dispersed, and the starry night descended. Streaks of starlight continuously converged in the night sky, forming 10 bright, twinkling stars. The stars fell like meteors, trailing comets of various colors: white, green, blue. Even though he knew that most of the previous draws were of this quality, it was still a gacha, and who hadn't fantasized about getting a gold on the very first try? Everything depended on the crucial 9th card. Blue. Damn it! If the 9th card had been purple, then this gacha would have had a guarantee of at least 2 purple. Even if the 10th card wasn't gold, it definitely wouldn't have been a big deal. Now there was no guarantee, which made him very anxious. Whoosh! The last streak of starlight fell from the night sky, dragging a golden comet tail. Gold! Haha! I got a gold! Takashi saw the golden light and once again jumped and cheered excitedly. Even though he had already drawn many gold character cards, no matter how many he drew, a gold still made him incredibly excited. Then, the gacha animation ended. Next was the most thrilling moment. Card after card began to flip forward from the very back. Even though these guys were mostly useless, just experience fodder, when he was in a good mood, even these experience packs looked quite pleasing. Soon, the last gold card flipped over. Seeing the character, Takashi's breathing hitched, his heart pounded faster, and the expression in his eyes and on his face visibly shifted to one of immense excitement. It's him! This was an exceptionally handsome man with white hair and white eyelashes. Beneath his eyelashes were beautiful pale blue eyes. He had a tall, slender physique, over 190 centimeters in height, and wore a black uniform, looking very dashing. It was Gojo Satoru from Jujutsu Kaisen, the strongest jujutsu sorcerer, the first-year homeroom teacher at Tokyo Jujutsu High, and a special grade jujutsu sorcerer. This man was set by the author as the strongest from his very first appearance. The power he displayed in the early stages indeed matched his position as the strongest, but in the later stages, the originally fearless Satoru surprisingly started to back down, admitting he was far inferior to Sukuna, and his character somewhat collapsed. And in Chapter 236, he suddenly lost the battle and was bisected by Sukuna. This led to a new meme, Ghost/Joe, Kit Kat and whatnot. To be honest, when he first read that part, he was baffled by Gige's outrageous move. Who were the readers of Jujutsu Kaisen watching? Was it Yuji, the initially designated protagonist? Or was it the story of the 3 youngsters striving to grow? Neither. Everyone was watching Gojo, and they all considered him the protagonist of this work. Yet, Gige, in a fine move, actually bisected the protagonist in everyone's hearts. And then had Yuta, who appeared later and had little screen time, pilot his body. From that moment on, this work collapsed. Of course, at that time, there was no need to dwell on it too much, because not long after it collapsed, the story concluded. Out of sight, out of mind, so there was no need to continue following it. For Takashi, the story ended when Gojo was bisected, or when he said he was inferior to Sukuna. However, even though Gojo eventually became Ghost/Joe, his overall displayed strength was still very great. Especially that phrase, domain expansion. This became the most captivating aspect of the Jujutsu Kaisen anime. Takashi looked at Gojo, and the more he looked, the more he cherished him. In terms of strength, Gojo was not the strongest character card he possessed, but in terms of handsomeness, he was definitely the best. The official setting was that, aside from his personality, he was flawless. He could cook, do housework, and was excellent at singing. Moreover, many of Gojo's characteristics were not present in other character cards, making him more suitable for certain special situations than even stronger character cards. Takashi selected the blue and lower rarity character cards he had drawn this time. To prevent accidents, he had to double-check to avoid accidentally selecting his important character cards. Do you wish to recycle the selected character cards? Yes. Recycling successful. Congratulations, host, your magic power has increased. Takashi didn't feel much. Magic power only increased in stages every half-star. And the magic power required to advance from 6-star to 7-star was double that needed to go from 5-star to 6-star. It would take approximately 3 gold character cards to reach 7-star. Unless absolutely necessary, he would not do something so short-sighted. Takashi opened his personal attribute panel. Host Takashi. Age 19. Race human. Magic power. Magic, take over magic. Character cards, Ulquiorra Cipher, gold, Shigekuni Yorichi, gold. Fushiguro Toji, gold, Edward Newgate, gold, Namikaze Minato, gold, Gojo Satoru, gold, Portgas D, ace, purple. Gacha spins 5. Looking at his dense collection of gold character cards, Takashi felt immensely satisfied. His gacha spins had accumulated to 5 due to the free monthly spins. 5 more spins, and he could do another 10 times spin. Next came another exciting moment. Full body takeover, Gojo Satoru. Takashi's body began to change. First, his hair, which was black, turned white. His black eyes transformed into pale blue eyes, which were the Gojo clan's 6 eyes. In Naruto terms, it was a Kekkai Genkai. Its abilities were somewhat similar to the Byakugan. It possessed 360-degree long-range vision without blind spots, allowing him to see behind himself, from a great distance, and his vision would not be obstructed even if his line of sight was blocked. It could also discern whether a target was a sorcerer and see through their curse technique. It could even track and predict cursed energy trajectories, allowing the wielder to perform precise cursed energy manipulation, which was a prerequisite for properly using Limitless. Then, Takashi's clothes also transformed into the style of the Jujutsu High uniform. Takashi went to the mirror and carefully admired his new appearance. The more he looked, the more satisfied he became. Chapter 132, Going to the Beach. Takashi pushed open the window. Whoosh! The next moment, he instantly teleported to the outside of Mary-Jane's house. He had already experienced teleportation when transforming into Minato. This is blue. Teleportation is just one of its derivative uses. The principle is to compress the spatial distance between his current location and the destination, achieving an effect similar to instantaneous movement. The advantage of this move is that it doesn't require a technique to pinpoint a location. The disadvantage is that it requires his own vision for precise targeting and takes time to activate, unlike the Flying Thunder God technique, which can be activated instantly, allowing for ever-changing tactics. Mary Jane in the house seemed to sense a gaze and looked outside. Then she saw nothing. Strange? How did I seem to see Takashi? Whoosh! Takashi instantly teleported back to his own home. Then he deactivated the transformation. Although there were still many moves he hadn't used, it was getting late, and it wasn't good to disturb others late at night. Moreover, his battle with the Celestial Spirit King had consumed a lot of magic power, and if he continued to consume magic power, he would be very tired. In fact, all of Satoru's information and intel had been imprinted into his mind the moment he had transformed into him. Even if he didn't use them, he knew what the effects would be. But to test them accurately, it was best to fight an enemy. Only then could Satoru's true power be seen. The next day, when Takashi arrived at the guild, he saw Kana happily drinking while hugging a barrel. Mira, get Kana 10 more barrels and put it on my tab. All right. Mary Jane responded with a smile. Knowing Takashi as she did, she knew that he must have summoned another powerful heroic spirit last night. Kana, however, was startled. What are you going to do? Is your target my body? Take it. Take it all. Take it away. At this moment, she felt very guilty. She had gotten many barrels of alcohol from Takashi during this time, which made her feel uneasy. Although her fortune-telling was somewhat useful, such things were hit or miss, and she herself didn't really believe in them. If Takashi found out one day that she had been fooling him a lot of the time, he wouldn't just kill her, would he? She couldn't afford these liquor bills, so the only thing she could repay him with was her own body. If it came down to it, she'd just give it to him. Anyway, she wouldn't lose out, and maybe she'd even secure a long-term meal ticket later. Bang! Ouch! Takashi flicked Kana's forehead. Are you getting muddled from drinking too much recently? He was a man with a girlfriend now and would never make a principled mistake. Takashi! Makarov called Takashi's name. Takashi walked over. What is it, master? You handled the Lok matter very well. Thank you for your hard work. Makarov naturally knew about Lok's situation. Although Lok was a celestial spirit, in Makarov's eyes, Lok's identity didn't matter. As long as he joined Fairy Tail, he was his child. Takashi, in order to help Lok, actually fought the legendary Celestial Spirit King. This proved that his judgment was not wrong. It's nothing. Lok is a guild companion, it's only right for me to save him. At this moment, Lok walked over. Takashi, thank you for last night. If it weren't for you, I might be dead by now. Lok was very grateful to Takashi. That was his most desperate moment, and it was Takashi who descended from the sky and saved him. Takashi waved his hand and said, We're all guild companions, no need to be polite. Has your body recovered? Lok nodded. Yes, it's almost fully recovered. I heard from Gray that your good time with Meryl was disturbed because of me. To make amends, please accept this. Lok took out a piece of paper and handed it to Takashi. Takashi took the note and asked, What is this? This is an invitation ticket for a resort hotel where I originally planned to take my girlfriend, but I can't stay in the human world for long now, so I'll use this as a thank you gift. You and Mira should have a good time. Then Lok leaned close to Takashi's ear and whispered, It's a double room, you know. Takashi secretly gave Lok a thumbs up, thinking to himself, I didn't save you for nothing. Takashi looked at Mary Jane. Mary Jane was naturally very tempted. She hadn't been to the beach in a long time, especially not with Takashi. Mary Jane looked at Makarov, who waved his hand. Go on. Alas, girls grow up and can't be kept at home. He also really wanted to go to the beach. There were many beautiful girls in swimsuits there. Thinking of this, he wanted to retire again. Hearing Makarov's words, Mary Jane couldn't help but blush. At this moment, Urza's voice rang out. You two, what are you dawdling for? Do you want us to leave you behind? Takashi looked up and saw that Urza, Natsu, Lucy, and Gray had all packed and were ready to depart. Takashi couldn't help but complain to Lok. Just how many girlfriends have you had? Akane Beach. The scenery here is pleasant, with beautiful sandy beaches and crystal clear waters. The climate is very pleasant all year round, making it a famous holiday resort in the kingdom of Fiori. Oh, the sea! The sun was just right at this time, and people were coming and going on the beach. Boys were wearing beach shorts, and girls were wearing cute and sexy swimsuits. Mary Jane, Lucy and Urza attracted the attention of almost everyone. Beautiful women as cute as Lucy were already quite rare, and those like Mary Jane and Urza were even more scarce. The appearance of three such beautiful and sexy girls together naturally attracted a lot of attention. Mary Jane spun around in front of Takashi and asked, How is it? Does it look good? Takashi's eyes were glued to her. It's really beautiful. As a former cover model for Weekly Sorcerer, Mary Jane's figure was naturally impeccable. Hearing Takashi's praise, Mary Jane was very happy. Girls, after all, care a lot about their looks and figure. Then the group started playing on the beach, hitting watermelons, riding jet skis, and playing beach volleyball. They had a blast, with everyone laughing joyfully. Takashi hadn't enjoyed such pure happiness in a long time. Happy times always fly by quickly. Before they knew it, the sun had set on the western coastline. What a wonderful day, Mary Jane said, looking at Takashi. Since Lisana's accident 2 years ago, she had never been so relaxed. It was Takashi's appearance that helped her emerge from the shadow of Lisana's incident, allowing her to laugh like this now. Takashi said with a complex gaze. Yes. I haven't been this happy in a long time either. Takashi and Mary Jane's gazes met, and both their heartbeats began to quicken, their breathing becoming slightly more rapid. Mary Jane slowly closed her eyes. Takashi wrapped his arm around Mary Jane's slender waist, his hand becoming restless. He leaned in to kiss Mary Jane's red lips. Suddenly, the door opened, and Natsu and Happy appeared at the doorway, shouting excitedly. Takashi! I heard there's an underground casino! Let's go check it out! Chapter 133, Urza's Past Companions. Again, it's always like this. The atmosphere was just right, but then they were interrupted again. The veins on Takashi's forehead bulged, and the expression on his face clearly showed he was in a very bad mood. Natsu and Happy saw Takashi and Mary Jane's posture and knew they had caused trouble. Oh no! Run! Natsu and Happy immediately bolted. Pfft! Mary Jane couldn't help but find Takashi's angry expression a little funny. Mary Jane said, Let's go take a look too. Takashi nodded. All right. He was actually quite interested in gambling. A little gamble is pleasant, but a big gamble is harmful. The two changed their clothes and went together to the underground casino. The underground casino was very luxurious and huge, with all sorts of gambling areas. People came and went, and almost all the tourists who were on the beach during the day were gathered here. After all, those who could come here for vacation were all either rich or noble, and gambling was just a pastime for these people. What should we play? Mary Jane seemed unfamiliar with the casino, looking like a curious child. Since we're here, let's try everything. Takashi was actually very unfamiliar with such places. He had only seen them in movies in his previous life. Okay. At this moment, at the roulette table. Who? Natsu was sprawled on the roulette table, desperately blowing on the small ball that had already stopped. Sir, please don't do that. The dealer quickly tried to stop him. Natsu said, I clearly saw it fall into 17. But then it clattered into another number. What kind of trick is this? How could that be? The dealer was a bit helpless, and the people around them all looked over. Ha! That guy is hopeless. Gray couldn't help but mock Natsu when he saw him like this. Gray-sama. A voice sounded behind Gray. Gray froze. He turned his head to look back, and saw a blue-haired girl standing behind him. It was Juvia, one of Phantom Lord's Element 4. Gray was startled when he saw her clearly. What are you doing? The incident with Phantom Lord had not long passed, and their guild still hadn't finished rebuilding because of it. Juvia had fought him in the Onibus arena. Although he had won that duel, he knew very well that he had taken advantage of elemental weaknesses. In terms of magic power and magic, her strength was superior to his. The two came together in front of the casino bar. They had fought because of their guilds, but in reality, they had no personal conflict. I heard Phantom Lord disbanded? Gray remembered something. Shortly after Fairy Tail won that duel, Phantom Lord had announced its disbandment. That incident had caused quite a stir, as Phantom Lord was the largest mage guild in the Kingdom of Fiori, and its strength was among the best. Juvia nodded. Yes, Juvia is now a free mage. Oh, so you want to join Fairy Tail? Yes. Juvia really wants to join. In that case, I can introduce you. The old man should agree. Although she was once a member of Phantom Lord, that was mainly a conflict between guilds. Now that Phantom Lord had disbanded, their past grudges naturally vanished. Really? Thank you very much, Grey S.A. Suddenly, a large hand slapped Juvia from behind, sending her to the ground. Juvia! Grey quickly stood up and looked behind him. What are you doing, you bastard? You're Grateful Buster, aren't you? Where's Urza? On the other side, Natsu was still entangled with the dealer. I told you I saw it with my own eyes. It's not that easy to fool me. Boy. At this moment, a man's voice sounded from behind. Natsu and Happy looked over. In an adult's playground, you need to have some gentlemanly demeanor, understand? Square? Natsu and Happy were stunned when they saw the man's appearance. He was completely square, looking as if he was made of building blocks. Boy, let me tell you something. A man only has two paths. Either live elegantly as a mature man. The block man rushed towards Natsu, grabbed his scarf, pressed him onto the gambling table, and shoved a pistol into his mouth. Or stop moving and die, understand? It's a gun. Ah! Everyone around screamed and scattered when they saw this scene. In the magic world, guns could also kill people. What are you doing? Where's Urza? In the stud poker area. Urza was currently dominating here, a royal flush drawing exclamations from many onlookers. Amazing, Urza! Lucy excitedly hugged Urza's shoulder. She was practically becoming Urza's fangirl. Hee hee, I'm just lucky today. It's time for a new dealer. A young man with yellow hair, dressed as a dealer, pushed aside the panicking dealer. Urza calmly said, Right now, no matter who my opponent is, I won't lose. Lucy echoed, That's right. The young yellow-haired man skillfully shuffled the cards. Then, how about we play a special game? This time, we won't bet with chips. Saying this, he dealt 5 cards, placing them in front of Urza. Each of the 5 cards had a letter on the back, D-A-T-H, which spelled out death. How about we bet with our lives, Urzane? Urza looked up, and when she saw the man's face, her pupils contracted, and her body trembled slightly. Sho! Long time no see, Nay-san. Huh! Lucy was confused at this moment. What was going on? Why was he calling Urza's sister? Just then, the entire casino suddenly went dark, and when the light returned, everyone around had disappeared. Whoa! I'm over here, Nay-san. Shaz scattered a large number of cards from his hand. Inside the cards were people, constantly calling for help. The people are all in the cards? Sho said. Incredible! I can use magic now too. Magic, what exactly have you? Meow! Ah! Accompanied by a small cat's meow, a rope tightly bound Lucy's body. What is this? A girl who looked very much like a cat greeted Urza. Meow, full of spirit? Long time no see, meow Urza. Miliana? What are you doing? Lucy is my companion. Let her go. Urza immediately shouted when she saw Miliana grabbing Lucy. Weren't we companions once too, before you betrayed us? Hearing this, Urza trembled all over. Stop bullying Urza like that, Sho. A mature man should learn to control his emotions, understand? You've become so feminine, Urza. One by one, block cubes appeared out of thin air and then formed a block man. That voice, is that Wally? Wally seemed a bit hurt by Urza's uncertainty and found an excuse for himself. It's no wonder you don't recognize me. Compared to when I was called Mad Dog Wally, I have indeed smoothed out a lot. You can use magic too. There's nothing to be surprised about. As long as you grasp the trick, anyone can use magic, right, Urza? A magic circle lit up on the ground, and a large man emerged from it. Simon? Why are you here? Let Lucy go. We've come to take you back. Meow. Let's go back, Nay-san. If you don't cooperate properly. Wally aimed his pistol at Lucy and cocked it with a click. Eek! Lucy immediately screamed in fright. Stop it! Just then, Wally's arm appeared out of nowhere behind Urza's body. Here's a sleep dart. Bang! A bullet hit Urza's waist. Urza! Target acquired, let's retreat. Suddenly, a voice sounded in the casino. Full body takeover, Gojo Satoru. Chapter 134, Attacks Are Useless. That voice. Lucy's face immediately lit up with surprise upon hearing that voice. Then, a card floated up from the ground not far away, and the card began to twist and shatter. Bang! Takashi and Mira-Jane appeared before the group together. Mira! Takashi? Lucy immediately recognized Mira-Jane, but Takashi's appearance stunned her. He had the same white hair as Mira-Jane, a handsome face, and especially those pale blue eyes with a white mist, which made one feel like they could easily fall for him with just one glance. So handsome! Lucy wasn't even sure if this was Takashi, but she knew he had many transformations, and she had only seen a few. This one, however, was definitely the most handsome she had ever seen, and her heart was fluttering. Mira-Jane also looked at Takashi with a surprised expression. It was her first time seeing this transformation of Takashi, but no matter how Takashi transformed, she could sense that it was him. Seriously, I just got a good hand, and you guys came out to mess things up. Takashi was a bit annoyed. He had been losing ever since he arrived at the casino, which made him wonder if the goddess of luck had abandoned him, or if he had used all his luck on gotcha draws, leading to terrible luck in gambling. Just as things were turning around, he encountered this situation. It would be strange if he were in a good mood. Takashi! They want to take Urza away! Lucy reacted at this moment, and quickly said, I just heard it all. Takashi saw the group's appearance, and heard their previous conversation. He also knew their identities, Urza's companions from when she was a slave. Hey! You guys, if you don't want to be killed, then obediently return Urza. If you do, I can guarantee not to beat you to death. Takashi looked at them, acting in a nonchalant manner. Bang! Wally raised his pistol and directly pulled the trigger on Takashi. Takashi, be careful! Seeing the pistol, Lucy quickly warned him. Although mages could use magic to cause destruction far exceeding a pistol, mages themselves were actually very fragile and could barely withstand bullet shots. Takashi seemed not to hear or see, standing still in place. The bullet Wally fired stopped in midair when it reached Takashi's front. What? Everyone was greatly astonished to see this. What was happening? Why did the bullet stop? I don't believe it! Bang, bang, bang. Wally fired 3 more shots consecutively, but the result was the same. All 3 bullets stopped automatically when they reached Takashi's front. Ha! Takashi yawned. Clink! 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 The few bullets all fell to the ground, making a crisp sound. Wally and the others stared with wide, disbelieving eyes. Bullets were actually ineffective against him. Kitty restraint. Miliana released the rope. Once bound by the rope, one would be unable to use magic. However, like the bullets, the rope stopped moving as soon as it reached Takashi. No matter how Miliana urged it, it couldn't get a single inch closer to Takashi. How can this be? It's simple, really. This is my cursed technique. Any object that gets closer to me will slow down, just like this, as if it stopped. So none of your attacks can hit me. Limitless is the Gojo clan's ancestral technique. It can interfere with matter at an atomic level and control space. It requires extremely precise cursed energy manipulation, which is why only users of the 6 eyes can employ this technique. Others, even if they inherit the technique, cannot use it. The principle of this technique is also simple. It infinitely divides an extremely short distance. Even if it's within arm's reach, if you can't touch it, you can't touch it. What Takashi was using was Satoru's passive ability, which could automatically and continuously deploy this technique. When deployed automatically, it would judge the strength, mass, and speed of automatically approaching objects to assess their danger level, and based on the assessment, decide whether to stop or deflect them. What? Everyone was greatly astonished by Takeshi's words. There was such magic? Doesn't that make this guy invincible? Bullets are useless against you, but what about others? Wally aimed his gun at Lucy. Why me again? Lucy jumped in fright. He had aimed at her just now, and now he was aiming at her again. However, Wally didn't even get to pull the trigger. The gun had already vanished from his hand. What? Wally looked up and saw that Takeshi had appeared in front of him at some point, holding his pistol in his hand. Bang! Takeshi shot Wally in the leg. Ah! Wally! The others cried out in alarm upon seeing Wally get shot. Takeshi raised the gun, aimed at Wally's other leg, and pulled the trigger. Click! Click! Out of bullets! Takeshi casually tossed the gun aside and punched Wally in the abdomen. Bang! Wah! Wally's body curled up like a cooked shrimp, his face contorted in agony, and he flew backward. Boom! Boom! He crashed through several gambling tables. Sho saw Wally get hit and immediately became enraged. Wally! You bastard! Simon quickly tried to stop him. Sho! Stop it! Sho ignored Simon's words and shot cards at Takeshi, but all the cards stopped in front of Takeshi. I told you, you can't hit me! The next moment, he teleported behind Sho and kicked him. Oh! Sho's body was also kicked away. Boom! Boom! He crashed through several slot machines. Immediately after, Takeshi teleported in front of Miliana, grasping her neck with his hand and lifting her up. St. Stop! Takeshi! A weak voice sounded. Urza! It was Urza who spoke. Simon's face had changed drastically when he saw Takeshi's murderous intent. Unlike the ignorance of the others, he knew Takeshi's identity when he heard Lucy call out his name. So he wanted to stop him, but it was already too late. If this continued, in a few seconds, all of them would die here, so he quickly woke Urza up. Takeshi heard Urza's voice and stopped his hand. He casually threw Miliana onto the ground. Cough, cough! Miliana coughed violently, her eyes filled with terror as she looked at Takeshi. She had felt it. In his hand she was as fragile as a chick. He could twist her neck with just a flick of his finger. Chapter 135, Our System. Takeshi came to Lucy's side, snapped the ropes on her body, and freed her. Simon put Urza down, raised his hands, and stepped back. Mary Jane hurried to Urza's side, supported her, and asked with concern, Urza, are you all right? Urza shook her head. It was just a sleeping dart, which could make her sleep, but didn't have much lethality. Square bastard! Just then, Natsu suddenly rushed out from next door. Seeing Wally lying not far away, he grabbed Wally's scarf. You square bastard! Hurry up and give Happy back! Gray also rushed over with Natsu, and Juvia followed behind him. Seeing Simon, Gray's expression changed. It's you! Gray immediately prepared to act. Natsu, Gray, wait a moment! Natsu and Gray then noticed Mary Jane, Urza, and Lucy were all there, as well as an unfamiliar guy. Who is he? It's me. Takeshi released the transformation, returning to his original appearance. Takeshi? This was another new character unlocked. What's going on? They wanted to abduct Urza, so I beat them up. Urza said. Natsu, Gray, bring them over. I have something to ask them. Natsu and Gray brought Wally and Sho over. Both of them had suffered some injuries from Takeshi's attack. Urza said, Wally, give Happy back to Natsu. Although Wally was unwilling, he knew how terrifying Takeshi was. If he didn't return him, he would definitely be dead. So he opened his magic space and released Happy. Happy! Natsu immediately hugged Happy when he saw him. Happy was his most important partner and family, closer to him than a blood brother. Gray asked Urza, Urza, what's going on? That big guy earlier had asked where you were, clearly coming for you. Lucy said. These people are Urza's former companions. Companions? Gray frowned. He had witnessed Urza joining the guild. Where did she have any companions? Urza explained. Before joining Fairy Tail. You guys, why are you here? Humph. Sho turned his head away, not wanting to speak. Simon said. It's Jalal. Jalal told us to bring you back to the Tower of Paradise. Urza's body trembled. The Tower of Paradise? Could it be? Has it really been completed? Sho said triumphantly. That's right. The Tower of Heaven has been completed. It took us 8 whole years to build it. Tower of Heaven? What's that? Lucy asked doubtfully. Urza explained. The Tower of Heaven, also known as the R system, is a forbidden magic that revives a dead person using a living person as a sacrifice. It's an inhumane forbidden magic. What? Lucy and the others were shocked to hear this. Reviving a dead person with a living sacrifice, was there such magic in the world? Sho said disdainfully. Magic inherently has no humanity. All magic will extinguish humanism, Urza said with a grim expression. This is the ideology of black magic. What's the difference between you and those people? Of course it's different. Those guys just see the R system as ordinary necromancy, a spell to bring the dead back to life, but Jalal is different. He will lead us to the future paradise. Paradise? At this point, Sho's expression became frantic. That's right. Jalal wants to resurrect him. This world will be completely new, and we will rule the entire world, bringing unprecedented fear and sorrow to the remnants of those who once deprived us of our freedom, the companions of the betraying Naysan, the ignorant commoners living in this world, and the incompetent council. We will bring them unprecedented fear and sorrow. And we will strip away all freedom in this world. We are the rulers of this world, ha 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 ha. Bang! Urza grabbed Sho's head with both hands and forcefully slammed her forehead into his. Ugh! Sho's eyes rolled back, and he immediately fainted. Yeah? Everyone was startled by such a fierce Urza. Urza's face was distorted. A perfectly good person has become so twisted. Jalal, is it all because of you? Lucy asked. Urza, what exactly is going on? What is the Tower of Heaven? And who is Jalal? This is my private matter. You don't need to get involved. Urza's body trembled as she spoke, clearly having something unspeakable. Gray looked at Urza and said, Urza, if you don't want to say it, that's fine. But you're wrong to say we don't need to get involved. You're our companion. Knowing that a companion is in trouble, do you expect us to just stand by and do nothing? Lucy nodded. That's right. Natsu clenched his fist. Did that guy bully you? I'll definitely give him a good beating. Mary Jane squeezed Urza's hand and said, That's right. Urza, no matter what, we will always stand by you. Takashi said, This isn't like your style, Urza. Just say don't nag, follow me like you usually do, wouldn't that be better? We'll help you. Urza looked up at Takashi, Mary Jane, Lucy, Natsu, and Gray. Their eyes all showed unconditional trust in her, which deeply moved her, and tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. It was the first time they had seen such a vulnerable Urza. However, this finally gave Urza the courage to speak about her unknown past. All right, I'll tell you. This matter goes back more than 10 years ago. At that time, a magic cult that worshipped black magic wanted to build the R system to revive the dead, so they plundered labor from various places and made the enslaved people work. I, who was a child at the time, was one of them. What? Except for Takashi, who knew the plot, everyone else was shocked by Urza's words. More than 10 years ago, Urza must have been just a child then. Making a child a slave, those black magic cults truly deserve to die. Chapter 136. Who is telling the truth? We met a few people, including Wally, at that time. We relied on each other, found joy in our suffering, and barely managed to survive. But there was no end in sight to such a life. We didn't know when we would die, so someone suggested escaping. Everyone agreed, but before we could even start, we were discovered by the black magic cult. To force out the mastermind, I was captured, and Jalal, to save me, was also captured. For freedom, and to save Jalal, we chose to take up arms and resist. All the imprisoned slaves had also had enough of that life and fought alongside us against the magic cult. In the end, we defeated the magic cult. When I went to save Jalal, he had changed, becoming someone I didn't recognize. Not only could he use magic, but he also didn't plan to leave with us. He intended to continue building the R system to revive Zerif. Of course, I disagreed, but he defeated me with magic. I don't know if it was because he still had some kindness left, but he chose not to kill me. Instead, he let me go, but he forbade me from telling anyone about this or approaching him again. Otherwise, to eliminate evidence, he would kill everyone in the Tower of Heaven, including Wally and my former companions. At this moment, Wally swayed and stood up. What was all that about? Are you trying to use those lies to gain your companion's sympathy? Don't be ridiculous. The truth isn't like that at all. 8 years ago, you planted a bomb on our ship and then escaped alone, didn't you? If Jalal hadn't noticed your betrayal, we would have all been blown up on the spot. Jalal told us that this is the fate of those who learn magic the wrong way. You were so deeply immersed in the power of magic that you wanted to abandon everything and all memories related to your past and to us. Isn't that right, Wally? Miliana? Simon? Wally and Miliana were a bit confused at this point. They didn't know who to believe. As for Simon, he showed no confusion at all. Speak up! Wally shouted when he saw that no one was speaking. Gray looked calmly at Wally. Jalal told you that? Lucy also said. Is the Urza you know someone who would do something like that? Although she had been in Fairy Tale for the shortest time, she knew that Urza was definitely not that kind of person. Wally started sweating from the interrogation. Of course, he knew Urza wasn't that kind of person, but then what did his 8 years of persistence mean? You know nothing about our affairs. It was Jalal's words that kept me alive until today. We spent 8 years building the Tower of Heaven, all for Jalal. And now you're saying it's all a lie? What a joke! Are you trying to say that Urza is right and Jalal is wrong? Is that it? That's right. A voice rang out. Simon? Several people looked at the speaker. It was Simon, who had come with Wally and the others to capture Urza. You bastard! Gray was immediately annoyed when he saw this guy. This was the guy who had attacked them earlier. Juvia stopped Gray. Wait, Gray-sama, he just used dark arts. He must have seen the ice clone Gray-sama used, but he still attacked. Simon said, as expected of the legendary Element 4. I didn't intend to kill anyone. To deceive Wally and the others, after I discovered it was an ice clone, I attacked without hesitation to make the effect more realistic. To deceive us? Wally didn't quite understand what Simon meant. Wally, show Miliana, you've all been deceived by Jalal. Actually, it's easy to tell who's right and who's wrong. If Urza had really betrayed us, she wouldn't have stopped Takashi just now, and how could we be standing here perfectly fine? Takashi is a super powerful mage who can even defeat a wizard saint. You all personally experienced his strength just now. The three fell silent upon hearing this. Just now, they had fought Takashi. No, it couldn't even be called a fight. It was a one-sided crushing. Their magic had no effect on Takashi. If he wanted to kill them, it probably wouldn't even take a second. If Urza hadn't stopped him, they might have all been killed. Sho shouted. Damn it all! What is real? Who should I believe? If he believed Jalal's words, many things didn't make sense upon closer thought. But if he believed Urza, what did all their years of effort amount to? Urza knelt down and looked at the three, saying, It must be very difficult for you to accept all of this right now, but I want to tell you that I have never forgotten you in these past 8 years. I couldn't do anything for you, I was too weak. I'm sorry, Simon said, but it's different now. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, waiting for powerful mages to gather and then defeat Jelal. Jelal. Right. Jelal! I must kill him! Upon hearing Jalal's name, Wally's expression turned ferocious. For 8 whole years, that scoundrel had played them for fools, making them build the Tower of Heaven for him. He absolutely had to kill that scoundrel. That's right! It's all his fault! He deceived us for so long, we absolutely cannot let him go. Miliana and Wally also understood now that Jelal was the one who had deceived them. Good. For Simon and the others, and for this world, Zeref must not be revived. We must defeat that guy. Urza no longer hesitated. Wally and the others had been deceived for years, and she had endured years of pain because of it. All of this needed to be repaid by Jelal. Jelal, huh? A pitiful person who was also deceived, a prime example of how a pitiful person must have something detestable about him. Later, Jelal had a sudden realization and transformed back into a kind and upright person. At that time, Takeshi was quite fond of the Urza and Jelal pairing. This is sometimes the downside of shonen manga/anime. There are rarely purely evil villains. Many villains end up being whitewashed, which makes Takeshi's fights less satisfying. But dissatisfaction aside, he would not show mercy because of it. After all, from the moment the battle began, they were enemies. If you show mercy, the other side won't. Kindness to an enemy is cruelty to oneself. If he should be killed, then kill him. Chapter 137 Fire Aetherion? Magic Council. Bang! What? The R system still remains? How is this possible? Org slammed his fist on the conference table in anger and shock. He had just been called to a meeting, only to find out it was such a major event. 8 years ago, a cult that worshipped black magic invested a large sum of money to rebuild the R system. Are those the 7 towers? Weren't they already destroyed by the council? They should be gone by now. There's also an 8th tower near the coast of Karluem. It can't be, has it already been completed? 8 years was too long. Such a long time was enough to build a tower. Unfortunately, the on-site investigation team wouldn't joke about this. Altair said. It has already been completed. Ugh! Org immediately felt a headache. Fairy Tail was already troublesome enough, and now an R system had appeared. At this moment, Sigrain said, The Tower of Heaven is not the R system, it is the Tower of Heaven. Shut up, Sieg! I don't care what it's called. It will severely impact people's lives and lead to great chaos. We must immediately dispatch troops without delay to suppress them. However, this time it doesn't seem to be the former black magic cult, but a man named Jelal. If we don't know the opponent's situation. Although the Magic Council had the Rune Knights, sending them out might not be enough to suppress the opponent. If the opponent was powerful, rashly deploying the Rune Knights would only cause more severe losses. They had once sent out the Rune Knights to eradicate an organization, resulting in heavy casualties. The R system is a magic that disregards the laws of human life and death, and it's extremely prone to breeding dangerous ideas. Whoever occupies it is an enemy, send out the army immediately. Everyone incessantly argued about whether to dispatch troops immediately. Incompetent fools, Sigrain said softly, immediately attracting everyone's attention. What? Sieg, you little. Many council members were very displeased. Sigrain was just a kid, yet he dared to call them incompetent. Sending troops is a strategy for you incompetent fools. That thing is dangerous, very dangerous. You haven't even figured out the situation. There's only one way to completely destroy the Tower of Heaven now, and that's to fire Aetherion using the satellite magic array. Upon hearing Sigrain's words, almost all the council members' expressions changed drastically, looking at Sigrain in disbelief. What? You said to use superdimensional destructive magic. Are you crazy? The destructive range of this magic is unpredictable. A whole country could be razed to the ground because of it. That is our ultimate trump card. That's a magic even more dangerous than the R system. Almost all council members rejected Seagrain's proposal immediately. Seagrain continued to argue. But only Ether Ion can destroy that massive structure. I approve. Altair raised her hand and said. Altair! Even you. There are 9 council members in total. If 3 more vote in favor, we can fire Ether Ion. There's no time to waste, we absolutely cannot let the R system activate. Tower of Heaven. Jalal-sama, we just received news that Urza has been successfully captured and is on her way here. However, with your immense magic power, wouldn't it be easy to deal with her? Why do you still want to capture that traitor? A long-haired man came before Jalal to report. Ha. That won't do. This world is too boring. The long-haired man felt his boss seemed to be going a bit mad again. Now that the Tower of Heaven is built, the time is ripe. As for Urza? She's just bait, nothing more than bait. Bait? Exactly. Bait for the sacrifice to resurrect Zeref. While the Magic Council was in session, Takeshi and the others were traveling by boat to the Tower of Heaven. Marijane, feeling she couldn't help, stayed at the hotel, waiting for everyone to return. Urza, I'm sorry. Sorry, Urza. Miliana and Wally apologized to Urza. They had believed Jalal's slanders and had deeply misunderstood Urza all these years. Urza smiled and stroked Miliana's head, saying, It's okay. As long as you are all safe, that's what matters most. Ugh. Bleg. Natsu swayed unsteadily. Seeing Natsu approach, Gray quickly shooed him away with a look of disgust. Don't come near me. You're making me sick. If you get seasick, why didn't you just stay at the hotel? But speaking of which, why is she coming along too? Lucy looked at Juvia across from her. This matter had nothing to do with her, and why was she even at the resort hotel? Gray explained. Phantom Lord disbanded, didn't it? Juvia is now a free mage, and wants to join Fairy Tail. Join Fairy Tail? Urza and the others were surprised to hear this, but Takeshi was not surprised at all. Juvia was one of the future main forces of Fairy Tail. Yes. Juvia wants to join Fairy Tail. Urza thought for a moment and said, Although Fairy Tail and Phantom Lord had conflicts in the past, there's no grudge with Juvia. Now that Phantom Lord has disbanded, it's reasonable for Juvia to want to join Fairy Tail. I will speak to Master. Juvia was one of Phantom Lord's Element 4, with S-class strength. Having such a powerful mage join would be a good thing for Fairy Tail. Really? Thank you very much. Juvia will definitely work hard. Hearing Urza's words, Juvia was very happy. With the recommendation of an S-class mage, her chances of joining Fairy Tail would greatly increase. At this moment, Happy, who had been keeping watch at the bow, suddenly pointed ahead and shouted, There's a tower! Everyone looked forward and saw a towering structure. It's so big! Even from a distance, they could feel the grandeur of the tall tower. Has it really been completed? Urza looked at the distant tower. She had once lived a hellish life there, and at that time, the black magic cult's goal was to build this tower. Sho clenched his fist and said through gritted teeth, Yes, we built this tower. It took us 8 years. Simon said, We have already reported to Jalal that Urza has been captured. Next, as long as everyone enters Show us cards, we will take you all to Jalal's location, and then we can all attack him together. Simon's words were cut short by Takeshi. No need. Doing things sneakily is not my style. We'll just crush them directly. Chapter 138. Lucy is so ordinary. Crush them? Simon was a bit stunned. Wait. There's an extremely large army guarding the island. Simon knew that Jalal had deployed a massive force on the Tower of Heaven, numbering several thousand. With so many people, even if they took them out one by one, it would take forever, and they'd die of exhaustion. Exactly. We should just crush them. Gray fully agreed with Takeshi's suggestion. Urza, you should try to persuade. Simon wanted Urza to persuade Takashi and Gray. Unexpectedly, Urza nodded. Then let's do it. 8 years ago, we overthrew the rule of the cult, and today we will overthrow Jalal. Urza? Simon hadn't expected Urza's personality to change so much in 8 years. Was she this radical now? That guy hurt Urza, and now he wants to abduct her as a sacrifice. We should let a guy like him know what we're capable of. Lucy was also brave now. On one hand, she was angry about what Urza and Simon, among others, had gone through. On the other hand, it was because there were many strong individuals in this operation. Especially Takashi, who was a monster capable of defeating a wizard saint, and there were only a few wizard saints in the entire Ishgar continent. Takashi also had a record of fighting 1 against 10,000. How many people could this tower hold? Moreover, besides Takashi, there were Urza, Natsu, and Gray, plus herself. Such a team was almost invincible, and with Juvia and the others, there was no need for any fear. Soon, the ship arrived at the island where the Tower of Hefson was located. It's so tall! As they got closer, everyone saw that the tower was even taller than they had imagined. After all, it took a full 8 years. Sho wished he could destroy this tall tower right now. Not long ago, he was proud of building it, but now it had become a pillar of shame for them. So many people! Lucy saw that there were so many enemies and couldn't help but feel a little intimidated. I already told you. Simon was a bit helpless. Natsu and Gray had already jumped off the ship. Who are you? The guards on the shore saw Natsu and Gray and immediately questioned them loudly. Natsu's face was ferocious, and his fists were wreathed in flames. You ask who we are? You don't even recognize such worthy opponents. We are Fairy Tail, you scoundrels! Natsu charged straight ahead. Wah! Many guards screamed as they were sent flying. Enemy attack! The other guards immediately shouted upon seeing this, and more guards rushed over from all directions. Ice Make, Lancer! Gray used his molding magic with both hands, firing a barrage of ice lances. Wah! Again many guards were eliminated. Juvia clapped, her face full of admiration. Gray-sama is so cool! Juvia wants to do well too. Water Slicer! Juvia waved her hand, unleashing a large number of water blades that sliced through the guards. Wah! Many guards were dealt with. So powerful! Sho, Wally, Miliana, and Simon were all amazed by this scene. Originally, they thought Natsu and the others weren't very strong, as they had easily dealt with them in the casino. But after seeing the destructive power of their magic, they realized how incredibly strong these individuals were. So many guards were so fragile under the attacks of these few people. They somewhat understood what Takashi meant by crushing them. I'm going in too! Open Gate of the Golden Bull! Taurus! Seeing everyone performing, Lucy naturally couldn't fall behind. She took out her gold key and summoned Taurus. Muh! A humanoid cow carrying a large axe appeared, then swung the axe and fought with the guards. Although it was mostly one hit, one kill, its performance was far inferior compared to the others. Miliana said, So ordinary. Wally nodded in agreement. Yeah. A bit ordinary. Lucy was furious when she heard this, baring her teeth and saying, I'll become super strong too in the future. At the same time, Lucy thought to herself, you guys are really talking big without knowing the effort involved. You don't even consider what kind of monsters these people are. Natsu is the legendary salamander, Juvia is one of Phantom Lord's Element 4, and while Gray isn't as famous in the magical world, he can go head-to-head with Natsu. My performance was already very good, okay. Requip, Heaven's Wheel Armor. At this moment, Urza requipped into her Heaven's Wheel Armor. An armor made of steel adorned her body, with 4 steel wings on her back. She flew into the air, like an iron angel, looking both beautiful and fierce. Blumenblatt. Urza summoned a large number of magical swords that shot towards the guards. Wah! All of the guards were eliminated. Sho and the others were deeply moved by this scene. It was when they were on the brink of despair that Urza awakened her magic source, controlling a multitude of weapons to defeat the black magic cult's magical soldiers, successfully leading them to defeat the cult. They had actually thought that Urza had betrayed them because of Jalal's words. How despicable! Takashi stepped off the ship and went onto the island, looking at the towering structure. It was to build this tower that Urza had endured so much pain, which ignited a strong urge to destroy within him. Full body takeover, Edward Newgate. So big! Miliana and the others had always lived on this island and had never seen such a tall person. They were all astonished to see Takashi transform into such a giant man. Takashi looked up at the Tower of Heaven. The towering structure made him recall the memories at Marineford. This sight is unpleasant. Takashi's lips curled slightly, and he said softly, "Since we're here, let's say hello first." Bang! He spread his feet apart and stepped onto the ground. He gripped the air with all 10 fingers, then traced an S shape through the air. Rumble! The ground began to shake, the entire island started to tilt, and the sea began to layer, forming giant waves hundreds to thousands of meters high. What? What is this? Everyone was dumbfounded by this sight. Chapter 139, Trinity Raven. Tower of Heaven top floor. This is bad, Jalal-sama, we're under attack. It's fairy tale. A long-haired man rushed over to report. Jalal seemed to have anticipated it and said, "Calm down, Vidaldus, I've expected this. How could those guys like Sho bring Urza back under that man's nose?" Vidaldus's expression changed. "Are you saying Sho and the others betrayed us?" "Exactly." "Those guys actually dared to betray Jalal-sama? They deserve to die." Jalal smiled and said, "It doesn't matter. They've already completed the task I assigned them very well." Suddenly, the entire Tower of Heaven began to tilt. Jalal quickly grabbed his seat to steady himself. Vidaldus also quickly held onto a pillar. What's happening? Is the Tower of Heaven going to collapse?" Vidaldus was a bit flustered, then he saw the scene outside and was instantly stunned. What is that?" Jalal was also somewhat bewildered at this moment, not knowing what was happening. After hearing Vidaldus's words, he immediately looked outside, and then he witnessed a scene that would be unforgettable for him. The sea was fractured, the water surged, and the entire tower tilted and shook, as if the world was turning upside down. How is this possible? At this moment, below the Tower of Heaven, everyone was screaming in terror at the scene before them. They could no longer use words to describe what they saw. Is this an earthquake? A seaquake? What exactly is happening? Many people couldn't hold on and fell into the sea from the island. After a long while, everything calmed down, and the island returned to normal. Sho and the others were too terrified to speak as they looked at Takashi. Natsu and the others also looked at Takashi as if he were some terrifying monster. Although they already knew that Takashi in this form was as strong as a monster, wasn't this a bit too monstrous? An island! This was an entire island, and Takashi almost overturned it. No, it wasn't almost, it was that Takashi didn't intend to overturn it. They could feel that if Takashi wanted to, he could easily sink this island to the bottom of the sea. Juvia also didn't know what to say as she looked at Takashi. In Onibus, she had personally seen Takashi in this form defeat the powerful Phantom Lord Master Jose. At that time, she thought that was the limit of Takashi's strength. Now it seemed that he had held back at that time. "Just now, what was that?" Simon asked blankly. "Nothing, just a simple application of tremor fruit power," Takashi said calmly. Miliana and the others were all scared stiff. Was this the kind of monster they had offended before? Top of the Tower of Heaven. Vidaldus was lying on the ground. That moment had scared him senseless. He truly thought the Tower of Heaven was going to collapse. No, it was even more terrifying than that. Just now, it wasn't just the Tower of Heaven, but the entire island and the sea itself. What kind of power could cause such a terrifying scene? Takashi, that bastard! Jalal clenched his fists. He had to admit, he was truly frightened just now, not only by Takashi's true strength but also because he thought his Tower of Heaven was going to sink into the sea. He had spent 8 years building this, and in that instant, everything almost turned to dust. How could he not be scared? He couldn't let that bastard continue to be so reckless. Otherwise, all his efforts over the years would be ruined. Jalal was aware of Takashi's combat power. He understood what the other party meant just now. He was telling him that he could easily turn this place into nothing at any time. From his understanding of Takashi, although the Tower of Heaven was built to be incredibly sturdy, it couldn't withstand his attacks. Takashi's unreasonable vibration power had terrifying destructive power against buildings. If this monster wished, he could destroy the Tower of Heaven with a single punch. Jalal asked. "The Daldas, are you ready?" The Daldas asked. "Oh? Can I go? That guy has declared war on us. It's time for us to fight back. Otherwise, he'll think we're cowards. Then I won't hold back." "Ha!" The Daldas's magic power erupted, and his entire body glowed. Soon the light dispersed, and his appearance slightly changed. His face was painted with very heavy smoky makeup, and he wore an outfit like something out of hellish rock and roll. "Death's Head Caucus, Trinity Raven, Vidaldus, reporting for duty." Next to Vidaldus were 2 other people. One was a monster with an owl's head and a human body, and the other was a sexy, enchanting pink-haired beauty wearing a kimono and holding a long sword. "Hell! I'll show them the most horrifying, most tragic hell!" The Daldas swayed his head, making a rock gesture with his fingers, looking wild. Ikaruga, the captain of Trinity Raven, smiled and asked, "What happened just now? It gave this humble girl a fright." Just now, the Tower of Heaven and even the entire island had almost flipped into the sea. The sea surged in layers, as if the world was overturning. Such a scene would deeply shock anyone. She didn't believe it was naturally formed, but if it was caused by human power, that was too unbelievable. The owl monster, Fukuro, tilted his head. "Ooh." Fukuro was also a bit bewildered. Everyone's feelings were pretty much the same after witnessing such a scene. Jalal said, "It was Takashi." He transformed into an old man with a white mustache, activated his vibration power, and caused an earthquake and a seaquake. Ikaruga's expression changed. "Takashi? You mean the Takashi who openly defeated Wizard Saint Jose in Anubis? Anyone with the means would have watched the battle between Takashi and Jose. After all, the 10 Wizard Saints rarely made public appearances." The Trinity Raven had also watched the battle. Jalal nodded. "It's him. He truly is a terrifying monster, so are we going to fight him?" "What? Are you scared?" Upon hearing Jalal's words, Ikaruga's lips curled into a slight smile. "Scared? Of course. After all, even a wizard saint wasn't his match. But while I'm scared, I'm also somewhat excited. After all, this is the legendary one," Ikaruga said, stroking her long sword. "To be able to fight that one, even if I'm killed, it would be a blessing. Perhaps it is the fate of both love and life to scatter on the wind. Tonight shall be a festival." Chapter 140, Heaven's Game. Boom! The Tower of Heaven's front gate was shattered by a single blow from Natsu. "Jalal! Get out here!" Natsu shouted loudly after entering the gate. At this moment, large mouths began to emerge from various parts of the walls. Lucy was instantly terrified. "What are these? So disgusting. Mouths? What are these mouths?" "This is Jalal's magic to ensure his voice can be heard in every corner of the tower." Soon, a voice sounded from the mouths. "Welcome, everyone, to the Tower of Heaven. I am Jalal, the ruler of this tower. Both sides' pieces are all here, so let the Heaven's Game begin." Natsu looked puzzled. "What game?" "The rules are simple. It's a stage-by-stage clearing game. I have arranged guards on every floor of the Tower of Heaven. They are responsible for guarding the hostages, and these hostages are the companions who built this Tower of Heaven with Wally and the others, and also the companions who resisted the black magic cult with Urza. What? Wally and the others, along with Urza, all changed their expressions. Jalal, you scoundrel! It wasn't enough that you deceived those innocent, pitiful people. Now you want their lives? Urza gritted her teeth. Jalal had become even more evil than he was 8 years ago. To be honest, I originally planned to kill all these guys. After all, the Tower of Heaven has been built, and these guys are useless. If I let them leave, they might expose this place. Now, I'm giving you a chance to rescue them. This can be considered my last act of mercy, Lucy said with a grim expression. What kind of mercy is that? Besides those guards, I have also arranged 3 warriors. Only by defeating these 3 warriors can you reach the top floor and have the final battle with me. If you violate the rules, I will order all hostages to be killed. The decision is yours. Rescue the hostages, or come directly for the final battle with me. Simon said with a solemn expression. This guy, did he already know we were going to betray him? He had previously planned to use Wally's magic to assault Jalal on the top floor, but judging by the opponent's thorough preparations, he had clearly anticipated this. However, there's one point I need to emphasize. This is the Tower of Heaven that I spent 8 years building. I don't want any significant damage. If the damage is severe, I will kill all the hostages. Finally, an additional special note. The Magic Council is very likely to use a satellite magic array to attack this place. That is the ultimate destructive magic that can turn everything to ashes, Ether Ion. Everyone was startled by these words. Ether Ion was the Magic Council's ultimate weapon and their biggest trump card for deterring the continent. The Daldis said, Hey! You never told me about this, Jalal. If we get hit by something like that, we'll all go to hell. Ikaruga glanced at Vidaldis, a slight smile on her lips. Vidaldis, are you scared? Hearing this, Vidaldis looked like he was high on drugs. Quite the opposite. I'm totally hyped. I want to do this kind of dangerous work. Jalal continued. The remaining time until the attack is unknown. When Ether Ion falls on our heads, none of us will survive, which means there will be no winner. Game over. Let us enjoy ourselves to the fullest. After saying this, all the mouths on the walls disappeared. What? What is Jalal thinking? Playing games when his own life isn't even guaranteed. Lucy's body trembled uncontrollably. She was frightened by Jalal's insane actions. Ether Ion? The Council? No. Impossible. That's... Urza couldn't believe it. Ether Ion was the Magic Council's ultimate weapon. How could it attack here? Is he just bluffing? Gray also found it hard to believe that the Magic Council would fire Ether Ion at this location. Clap. Clap. Takashi clapped his hands and looked at everyone, saying, All right, whether it's a bluff or not, the people must be rescued. Let's start assigning teams now. Simon, you 4 understand the structure of the Tower of Heaven. Split up and assign yourselves to different teams. Juvia was the first to speak. I'll team up with Gray-sama. My magic can complement Gray-sama's. Simon said. Then I'll go with you guys. We've met before, even if it wasn't particularly pleasant. Wally said. In that case, I'll team up with Salamander. Natsu said indifferently. I don't care, as long as I'm with Happy. Sho said. I'll go with Naysan. He felt incredibly ashamed towards Urza. He wanted to protect her well and wouldn't let her suffer any harm. Then Miliana looked at Takashi with some fear. Not long ago, she was almost squeezed to death by Takashi, and she still had psychological trauma. Takashi said. For efficiency, each team will be responsible for 1 floor. How many floors are there in the Tower of Heaven? Simon replied. Up to the top floor where Jalal is, there are 48 floors in total. Happy said. So that means each team has to cover 12 floors. He wants to drain our stamina and magic power. Gray guessed the opponent's objective. He deliberately stated a vague time, wanting them to fight continuously without rest, so that by the time they reached the top floor, their stamina and magic power would be exhausted, making them no match for the opponent. Lucy said indignantly. He is too despicable. Takeshi, your magic power! Urza looked at Takeshi with some concern. Takeshi's strength was extraordinary, but his magic power burden was also very heavy. He was least skilled at dealing with this kind of drawn-out battle. She felt as if Jalao's rule was specifically designed for Takeshi. Takeshi waved his hand. It's fine, this level is nothing. His current magic power was already very high, incomparable to a year ago. Besides, he also held several purple and gold cards in his hand. If absolutely necessary, he could sacrifice one, but he felt it wouldn't be needed. It was just a mere Jalal. If he couldn't even deal with Jalal at this stage, then he would have drawn all those cards in vain. Soon, everyone agreed on the floors they would be responsible for. Everyone! Make sure you stay safe. Move out! That wraps up this part of What If Template System in Fairy Tale World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.